I believe. My name is Alun, and today I'm facilitating a session of Achtung, Cthulhu Dark. That's my drift of Cthulhu Dark for an World War II espionage involving the Cthulhu mythos, the supernatural and the occult. I will leave you to look at my introduction to session 1 from last week, our millions of viewers, if you want to know more about the setting. But for now, I want to simply draw attention to the fact that this is organized as part of the Guantlet Hangouts. If you don't know about the Gauntlet, you really should. If you look up Guantlet-RPG online, you'll find a fabulous community of people playing good games, and also a vibrant community talking about role-playing games. And I'm blessed to have 4 of those players with me today. As I say, this is a game set in a fictionalized World War II, where the supernatural occult and Cthulhu are real, and where all the participant nations are interested in what they can do or might do to aid the war effort from their point of view. This is potentially a little tricky because I do need to stress that because this involves the occult activity of our fictionalized Third Reich, and the activities of the real Nazi regime that took over Germany in the 1930s are well known, I'm in no sense wishing to trivialize those real and terrible events. But given the nature of this material, we will be playing with some of the safety tools espoused by the Gauntlet community. This will involve, from my point of view, the kind of stop button is the X card. I would say to the players that because I tend to focus on their faces, not on the chat beside the screen, I may or may not pick up a typed X card call, but if you do that, I will usually notice it. And we're also playing with some lines and veils. Those lines are things we won't see in the fiction, and the ones we're currently playing with are the graphic depiction of Nazi atrocities, sexual violence, including sexual coercion, violence against children, parental death and suffering, and using parents as leverage against each other. It is possible, given the setting, that we may see the implication of those or the consequences of those, but we will not be showing those things in the fiction. We'll also be playing with veils. My starting veil, because I'm old and British, is sex. Ditto torture. And we've got really explicit gore and medical procedures. Those will be veiled, and scenes of acute grief. What that will mean is that I may describe an approach to a scene, but where that kind of material is placed, we will draw a veil. The curtain will be drawn, and events will take place behind there, and then we'll get back to the action. Finally, we're playing with the Gauntlet's inclusivity policy, and you can find links to that if you go to the Gauntlet website. And we're also running what I'm beginning to call an open door, which means that if at any point during the session one of the players needs to duck out, temporarily or permanently, that's fine. Then by all means, they will simply, disappear from the session. If they come back, that's great. My hope is that we'll all be here from beginning to end. But I understand that life happens. If somebody else is better at monitoring the chat than me and sees an X card reference, please draw my attention to it. Okay. So with that, what I'd like to do is to have the players introduce themselves. Tell us something about yourself. How long have you been playing with Gauntlet? Something like that. Tell me about your pronouns, and then describe your character to us. As I say, I'm Alun, he, him. I've been playing with the Gauntlet nearly 12 months now. I started at last year's October Gauntlet Con. Looking forward to that this year. I've been running games since the spring. And if you are new to the Gauntlet Con is a great way to step in, because for a tiny, negligible fee, you can book games to play with the Gauntlet. That's me. Can I do you in the order I can see you? So, Paul, can we start with you? You're muted, Paul. Is that better?
Is it better? Excellent. Hi, I'm Paul R, he, him. I've been with the Gauntlet now approximately 10 months. I game with Alan sometimes on a regular basis in real life. The character I'm playing today is Sergeant Wilbur Strauss, a East End scoundrel who turned to the police and eventually got drafted into the Coldstream Guards. And last episode, he met a few other individuals, one of them being Arthur, who he is quite close to.
Thank you for that. There is our picture of Wilbur. Arthur Blake was a character from the first session last week. He is away in London as we speak and will be returning next week. Okay, moving on from there. Dan, tell us something about yourself and tell us about your character, who is Reggie Wooster, I think. You two are muted, Dan. Let me see if I can unmute you. No, you'll need to unmute, Dan. I can't do it for you.
Hello, how's that? Excellent. So, my name is Dan Felder. I'm a game designer, and I'm a huge fan of the Gauntlet podcasts, and I wanted to join the community. So this is actually my first game on the Gauntlet, so I'm really excited. So it's a pleasure to be here. Now, as for my character, Reginald Wooster, or Reggie Wooster, he was a member of the Idle Rich, heavily inspired by the P.G. Wodehouse books. And he was a big fan of thrillers, and so he decided it would be a lark to join the military and help serve his country, because surely if the rich are as better than everybody as they say they are, it wouldn't be a problem. Turns out it was a problem, but he keeps a stiff upper lip and doesn't let it show.
I have to ask, Dan, why was Reggie not immediately put in the officer class? Because you're playing the plucky private. So why didn't his educational background just automatically make him a lieutenant somewhere?
Because he refused. He very much wanted to be on the battlefield, be the action, didn't want any favoritism, starting to wonder if that was the right choice.
Fine, that explains it. We've not seen him in this series before, so we know what he looks like. We know about some of that. Tell me why did he join the Secret War? Because you've told us that he joined not quite as a lark, but he joined up to see the world, perhaps. But why specifically is he in the Secret War?
Basically, there's an element of blackmail that sort of dragged him into that. Pretty early on, he started realizing that maybe this wasn't the right fit for him. And he basically decided he wanted to try to earn some quick distinction and get out of that way he can honorably maybe duck out of the war. And in doing that, he came across in attempting to sort of go do it, sign up with an additional secret mission, go along something he wasn't supposed to. He ended up getting involved in a secret war element. I was basically told you're not allowed to leave, and now that you know these things, so it was threatened, basically saying that you have to either stick this out, or there might be a few problems that might involve problems from you, problems from your family. Maybe the family doesn't see you again. We're not the bad guys. We wouldn't do anything like that, but maybe you should just stick around with this.
That's interesting, because the occult intelligence service in this setting are His Majesty's pursuivants, protecting the realm since 1558. So you'll find a cell on the character keeper that says, what do they know about you? So can you just summarize that? What the leverage that Her Majesty's pursuivants have over you? That would be helpful, please. I dare say you went to school with one of their senior members.
That makes sense.
That's great. Thank you, Dan. Pearl, would you come next and describe yourself and tell us something about Eglantine?
Yes, hello. I'm Pearl. I use she and her pronouns. I've been playing about 4.5 months on the Gauntlet, which makes up basically the entirety of my role-playing game experience, hence my never having played this or a dice pool game or anything like it before, which is very exciting. I like to experience new things. It's also 8 in the morning, my time. I played a game at 2 in the morning also, and I'm just a bit loopy, so that should be fun for everyone, I'm sure. I'm playing Eglantine Chatfield, who is an undercover agent, highly trained and skilled operative able to assume cover identities for long periods with expertise in tradecraft, which I don't actually know what that is, but I'm apparently very, very good at it. Persuasion and cryptography. And before all of this horrible nonsense got started, I was an actress. And before that, I actually got a degree in semiotics, but once I became an actress, nobody cared about that. But it comes in handy now and again with the whole cryptography and other such things.
Would you describe yourself as others see you, please, Eglantine?
Yes, although I will have to remind myself of what I said. One moment. There we are. So yeah, other people see me as sort of an odd combination of a serious actress and an erratic floozy. It's just that I like to have a good time, really. It's not, I don't know why people, anyway, work hard, play hard, and I enjoy people who can keep up with me. And most people in the public either find this charmingly eccentric or distasteful. And the distasteful ones can just head right off. No need. I'm given to ranting about elaborate and or I'll say emotional takes on symbolism in life and art when I'm intoxicated, which is maybe more often than it should be. And the rumor is that I'm 27, but I will neither confirm nor deny.
And why did Eglantine get into the secret war?
Because it's too horrible not to. Humanity is what the option in the game is, but yeah, just atrocious, disgusting awfulness. How could one not?
Indeed, how could one not? But what would you do to stop them?
I would sacrifice myself, including my soul, which I imagine, given the occult aspects of things that we're fighting here, is a possibility. But if I were to lose my soul and millions of people were to be saved, it would be a worthwhile sacrifice, I think.
That is a profound point of view to take that I like. Okay, moving along. Gerrit, would you like to say hello to the internet world and tell us something about yourself, and then tell us about Adriana Carnap?
Yeah, hi, I'm Gerrit. Pronouns he, him. I have been with the Gauntlet already since beginning of 2017, so quite a while now, and yeah, very much enjoying my time at the Gauntlet again and again, and I'm so happy to be back in a game finally and getting to know you, Alan, because I read about your games again and again, and now I'm in. And yeah, so I'm playing Adriana. So you can forget about Gerrit again and move over to Adriana Carnap. And Adriana Carnap, I have studied in Vienna, Austria, and I studied philosophy, mathematics, logic. But at these times, people, especially in science, were still very open for women like me, but also open for topics nowadays considered as the occult. And so while I was studying there, while I was doing my research stuff and also like getting into useful stuff like cryptography and analysis, mathematical analysis of problems, I also learned about patterns in this world, patterns which lead to something inevitably evil, deeply evil. And this all aligns with what you can read on the streets, in people's faces. And finally I understood that the greatest crime in human history will be pursued in these countries surrounding me. And I had to do something, so I left Vienna and found my way to Great Britain to join the forces to stop this evil.
I love that. So again, this is driven by humanity, I think. And again, I'll ask you the same question, therefore, as I put to Eglantine. What would you do to stop them?
I might step over some of my personal borders. Like, I know sometimes agents have to do things beyond what is considered humane, also what is considered to be mundane. And I might even consider killing somebody, something I, in the past, promised to myself I would never do. But learning more and more about what is happening, I might have to reconsider.
How did you find the basic training that you were put through when joining the intelligence service? Because there was certainly exercise in hand-to-hand combat and shooting, exercise on the shooting range. How did you find that?
Actually, it was horrible. I couldn't stand it, and I found certain ways to get around it. So I'm actually not that practiced as I should be, but I got the certificates necessary.
So is it fair to say then that you are trained in hand-to-hand and small arms, or do you think that you're relatively untrained in that?
I'm relatively untrained, I have to admit. However, we will see what happens when I come into a situation like this. I might learn about myself something I hadn't expected.
Okay. There are two other questions on the character sheet that ask you which member of the team you care most about and which one you care least about. I'm not going to ask you that question now. I will ask you once the mission has begun, so we get some sense of how those relationships develop. Okay. So so with that in mind, then let us consider the briefing or events to date. In our last session, Sergeant Strauss and his lieutenant, along with two members of Her Majesty's pursuivants, went behind enemy lines beyond the bridgehead of Dunkirk on the 28th of May 1940 in search of a missing MI6 agent Wotan, traveling as a Belgian citizen, Agatha Marchand. They found Agatha in a comatose state. Arthur Blake used an elder sign in order to try to create a small period of relief for Agatha. All it did was to give her a chance to tell them a few things before she lapsed back into coma. In an act of selfless heroism, Lieutenant Blonde and one of the pursuivant agents, the Lady Sophia, gave their lives to buy time for Sergeant Strauss and Arthur Blake to get Agent Wotan back to safety. And so in the middle of the night, they returned to Dunkirk. Agatha was put on a boat back to Britain, and the briefing provided to Eglantine and Adriana in London tells them that she's been sent to Bletchley Park, where Mr. Turing and his team are in the process of preparing a counterspell with the intention of trying to get her back, get her revived. Unfortunately, that is going to take time. The key bits of information that she passed on during that moment of lucidity were that, and I quote, "Marcel has proof at Newport." If you watched session 1, I got the name wrong. Forgive me. It's Newport, not Lille. An SS group under Walpurgin is transporting something to Newport for Operation Needle. And the other thing that she said was, "My mind will stand these nightmares no longer. That hideous place, the loathsome sea and sky. I have to pass something on. I fear if I go to sleep again, I will not wake. It draws me so much. There's something down there, and they're going to bring it up. They're bringing it up. And then she lapsed into coma. That was broadcast back to Britain by Lady Sophia before she too gave her life. And it was on the basis of that Adriana and Eglantine have been briefed by Scarlet Dragon Pursuivant in a bunker beneath St. Paul's Cathedral. And what he can share with you, you will find in the briefing tab for the 29th of May. Basically, they've done as much analysis as they can overnight, and they're able to tell you that Walpurgin is believed to be Karl Friedrich Walpurgin, a member of Heinrich Himmler's personal staff and acclaimed expert in the occult. The Pursuivants believe he is described as Himmler's sorcerers by skeptical members of the Nazi elite. And based on copies of his publications from before the war, the theme that comes out of them is an obsession with the lost lands beneath the North Sea. He believes that they could hold the secret of some potent prehistoric power. Agents in Germany report that Walpurgin has indeed been given command of an SS special group, SS Sondergruppe KfW2. The other piece of analysis that they've done overnight is to tentatively identify the Marcel that Agatha talked about. They believe that is Marcel Duchamp. Marcel is not a British agent, but part of Agatha's cover was traveling in Northern Europe attached to a group of Belgian archaeologists. And Marcel Duchamp was one of the other members of that group on a study tour in North Germany and the Low Countries. Quite what he knows, nobody knows. But he is, the last record they have of Marcel Duchamp is as the head librarian at the town public library in Newport, which is near the coast, along the coast from Dunkirk. And that he has an interest in ancient archaeology. The mission briefing from the Pursuivants to Eglantine and Adriana, therefore, is to proceed to Newport in Belgium with all speed, find Marcel Duchamp and discover what he knows, be aware that Belgian troops in the vicinity have been ordered to surrender. King Leopold of the Belgians signed a surrender this morning. So you cannot rely on Belgian troops in that area at this point. In fact, British forces are being rushed to Newport to plug the gap created by the Belgian surrender. Once you find out as much as you can, your instructions are as open as could be. Act as necessary on the information Monsieur Duchamp may have. Eglantine, Adriana, did you have any questions for Scarlet Dragon Pursuivant at the end of the briefing?
I'm still processing a bit. Is there a specific role or identity that I should be keeping in mind for anyone that I might meet? Are they going to be expecting anyone?
The orders that you will carry to British military in northern France will be that you are to be offered all reasonable support that doesn't in other ways cross their orders to protect the beachhead. You are going to be traveling in northern France, and Newport is a Belgian town, so a French or Belgian identity would be less likely to raise eyebrows. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. Adriana, do you have any questions?
Still processing, yes. No direct questions, no.
Well, what I'll do is I'll cut to Wilbur and Reggie. And then if you've got any final questions for Scarlet Dragon Pursuivant, you can ask them. Yeah? So, Wilbur, you got Arthur Blake back to Dunkirk, where he and Agent Wotan were rushed onto a destroyer carrying troops back across the channel as part of the evacuation. You then return to Grenadier headquarters. It would be helpful, Reggie, if you were a member of the Grenadier Guards. Is that agreeable?
That sounds fantastic. Jolly good.
It's a suitably upper-class regiment. Wilbur, when you get back to the Grenadiers, they've retreated to a new stop line, a new defensive line, and some of your section didn't make it. And one of your replacements is one Reginald Worcester. I'd quite like to see the pair of you meet.
Okay.
Are you muted, Paul?
Oh, there we go. Yeah, all's fine. Yes. So, meeting Reggie. I think this will be in the company clerk's office. He's a new recruit. Is that right, Reggie, or you've been here for some time?
Oh, no, I was just past here, actually.
Just past here?
Yep. So, relatively new.
Okay. Yeah, I come into the company clerk's office, greet the clerk, and then say, clerk, where's the replacements for the men we've lost? How are we meant to man the front? Where are these guys?
And I think that the clerk, whose name is Bernie says, "Sorry, Sarge, you're a bit late coming for the queue. There's only the one left." And he points at a chap sitting on a duffel bag in the corner of the company tent.
Damn,
his name's Worcester. Private Reginald Worcester, Sarge.
That doesn't sound like a northern name. Where are you from, Worcester?
Mostly in the metropolis, but all over. Just my family has some country estates and often Worcestershire and so on.
Bloody hell, Bernie! A toff? A toff as a Tom? What the hell's all that about?
I have to say, Sarge, that's what I thought when I saw him, and I thought, I know who can shift him into shape. Sergeant Strauss.
Oh, thanks for handing me the new Tom. Thanks very much, Bernie.
You're welcome.
Anyway, have you eaten yet?
Says, just a few kippers in the morning.
Bloody hell. Okay, grab your kit. I'll take you to the cookhouse. We can have something there.
Oh, how novel.
That's about the only meal you're going to get. Come on. Shit, or get off the pot.
Says, well, I'll have to eat something first. So I follow him.
Excellent. To the cookhouse.
What's your first impression, Sarge, if it's not obvious?
A toff that clearly doesn't know anything. So we got a green recruit and a toff at that. I am slightly perplexed of how a toff has managed to end up as a Tom. But I'm sure that information will come.
Fine. Reggie, what's your view of Sergeant Strauss at this point?
Seems like an excellent chap. Just the good salt of the earth, the type of person that'll help us win the war.
That'll do me for now, thank you. So, a final flashback to the briefing at Pursuivant headquarters, the bunker beneath St. Paul's. Eglantine, Adriana, any final questions, or I will have you debarking in Dunkirk?
I think my only question is, have we gone over how Eglantine and Adriana know each other?
You tell me. I'm very happy to have a scene on the deck of the destroyer as it arrives. I just want to make sure if you've got any questions for the briefer.
I don't think for the brief.
Adriana? Okay.
Anything is fine for me, yes. I want to be on this ship as soon as possible.
Fine. So you've steamed across the channel on board HMS Durant. You're standing, it's empty apart from the crew. You approach Dunkirk, you can see the town is burning. There are lines of men on the beach wading out into the surf to get to small boats. What do we see you talking about?
The water is too rough. They shouldn't get on the boats.
No. The war doesn't wait for the whims of the sea, does it?
The stars are not aligned for them today.
No, indeed, but if there's a possibility of us finding Wotan?
Marcel Duchamp.
Yes.
Yes, that is true. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong part of the briefing. Of us finding Marcel Duchamp before the Belgian troops that have been ordered to surrender possibly find him first and take him in. I don't think there's time to, I wouldn't say waste, but I think we must be bold.
We must be bold, yeah. Maybe this boat can help some people.
I'm curious, have you met before this mission?
We must have seen each other on the training range.
Eglantine, what's your reaction having met Adriana a little before and now on mission?
If things weren't so serious, I think I would find her kind of adorable because she reminds me of me when I was just going to university. Like a degree in semiotics is just the sort of thing that Adriana might be interested in. But that was a long time ago for me, and I've lived a lot of life and seen a lot of things since then, and now we're in the middle of war. So I'm finding it less adorable than I would, but still like charming enough that I can banter as long as we still get things done.
What's your first impression of Eglantine, Adriana?
She knows what she's talking about, and in hand-to-hand combat, she wasn't too bad. That was my feeling, at least. Well, everybody who was trying to stand up against her had a tough time. I preferred watching. Yeah, but being now on this boat with her feels not only safer than without her, but I also can feel her gaze on me, and I enjoy that.
Interesting. I think probably any more you want to say to one another or tell us?
Well, the water is splashing in my face, and you can see that I don't care. I actually seem to enjoy it. Rougher things will come soon, so this is just refreshing. Although
bracing.
It hurts.
Yeah, I would say rougher things are to come, and for that reason, I'm going to go below decks to our cabin and get out of all this dampness. I suppose I'll see you down there after you're done being roughed up by the sea.
And I think the next time we see you will be at the Grenadiers Company headquarters where your orders send you. What do you see around you that tells you that they've been in a desperate fight and retreated in disorder?
I imagine there are a lot of things that have been abandoned where they would have been camped out or staked out. Packages that rations had been in and like the occasional personal belonging and whatnot. Just sort of an unpleasantly messy field overall.
Thank you. Adriana, what do you notice that speaks of desperate fighting?
Well, it makes me feel desperate because there's a birthday cake on the floor all spread over with the cakes. with the candles on the cake still, and like it looks like somebody has like smashed every candle separately, so they are all crunched on the floor. So it took some fighting until you reach that point.
Thank you. You're ushered into a tent with a Major Johnson, and the Major says that he understands you have orders for him. And I have to say, this is getting more and more bloody inconvenient. Is this more of this bloody cloak and dagger rubbish?
I mean, I don't usually bother with the bureaucracy. I get sent on missions. I go and I accomplish them. I don't report generally to people. I don't know who this fellow is.
Yeah.
Adriana, I think probably, given your backgrounds, you're the person that will have been given the envelope.
Yeah.
And when Johnson tears it open and reads it, he says, "Bloody hell. You've already cost me a damn good officer. And now this." And he says to the company clerk, "Find Strauss and I think one of the replacements called Worcester. Do I know him, Bernie?" "No, sir, you don't, sir. He's new, sir." And shortly afterwards, Sergeant Strauss and Private Worcester arrive in the tent. Sarge, what's your reaction when you see Johnson looking like thunder with a letter and two civilians in the tent?
Okay. Clearly, he holds a Queen's commission. So the first thing or the King's commission. First thing I'll do, I will salute him, and then I'll say, "Letter from your mum, sir."
I wish it bloody was, Strauss. Look, I don't want to do this, and I'd prefer other alternatives, but my orders are explicit. It appears that you're going on another jaunt across Jerry's lines, conceivably, and my orders are explicit that Worcester here is to go with you. Worcester, I don't know you, do I?
I don't think so, sir. I'm sure I'd remember.
And you can, at the point he catches your accent, you can see his eyebrow goes up, and he... "Are you Bouncy Worcester's younger brother?"
Yes, just so.
"What are you doing dressed like that?"
Says, "Well, if I'm going to die today, I'd like to look my best."
"I mean, as a private, Worcester."
"Oh, well, you know, things happen."
Well, this is turning into a very confusing day. Strauss, look after him. I know his brother. And these other two, you have to take them to Newport. I have to tell you, the Belgians have surrendered. I don't know what you're going to find up there. We're rushing men in that direction to fill the gap. God knows what you'll find when you get there. But do the best you can.
Certainly, sir. Member of the Coldstream always does his best.
Yes, shame you're in the Grenadiers. On your way, Strauss.
Certainly, sir. Quick salute. Off we go.
So you will find, folks, a map on the briefing tab. You can see that there's a Union Jack showing General Headquarters, and 5 or 6 miles west of there is the town of Newport. Strauss, what's your plan for getting there?
So between here and there, is it our territory or is it Jerry's territory?
Technically, it's Belgian territory. The Belgian army has been filling that gap. Now that they've surrendered, General Headquarters is rushing troops in that direction, British troops in that direction, to plug the gap. So technically, it's allied, but it depends how swiftly Jerry acts on the surrender.
Okay. Do we still have the German armored car.
You don't have a German armored car. You have a German Kugelwagen, a Jeep, in effect. So yes, I'm very happy for you to have brought that back to headquarters with you.
Okay, I think that's a good vehicle to take. And I'd also like to go to the company quartermasters, or in fact, with the detritus sort of lying around an old tent or something, some canvas so we can cover up the German army sort of stickers, markings on the vehicle while we're in Allied areas.
It's a very distinctive vehicle in as much it doesn't look much like a Jeep, but you know, and it's also painted grey. But I'll give you the best I can.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks very much.
So this will hold the 4 of you on your equipment. Now, at this point, before you leave headquarters, I need to know whether you're traveling light loaded, medium loaded, or heavy loaded. Yeah, you'll find down the bottom 3 boxes for you to tick one of. If you are light loaded, then you can carry 3 items of equipment, or fewer heavier equipment. You can find the number of boxes that those count below. Medium grants you 2 more. Heavy grants you 1 more. I will tell you now that if you are light loaded, you will look like you won't necessarily look like somebody out for action. So in terms of those of you seeking to be not military, light would seem to be a good bet. If you're heavy loaded, then you will look like a professional soldier out to do the job. So with that in mind, am I right in seeing Wilbur opting for medium, Adriana, Eglantine, and Reggie opting for light loaded? Is that the case? Okay.
I think it would make more sense if I was medium.
Okay. I'm sure that Sergeant will give you something to carry when the time comes. So let's have you then driving east towards Newport. Reginald, what signs do you see of a rapid British redeployment?
So I'm guessing that I would see basically the earth itself from the roads just being ground down under vehicles passing, basically a storm of activity, chatter, people urgently packing things and unpacking things being spilled in haste. Just a general scene of chaos and urgency, rapidly trying to organize into some semblance of order.
Yes, certainly. I think that you will see groups of refugees in ditches where advancing troops have moved them aside, and you're benefiting from that because you're making quite good progress. So I think that you will approach the front line probably maybe half a mile, maybe a mile short of Newport by mid-morning, without much trouble. The only thing that you notice is there's a significant effort by German dive bombers to bomb that establishing front line. So there's a lot of shelling of those newly established British positions as the Germans try to capitalize on the surrender of the Belgians. So you'll find yourself in a trench in some sand dunes near the coast. What do you do?
Okay, how far are we away from Newport?
About a mile.
Okay. Can we camouflage the Kugelwagen?
You certainly can try, yeah. What do you want it to look like?
No, as in so we're going to leave that here and cover it with some either a tarp or some sort of undergrowth, some branches of trees, that sort of thing.
That's fine. I'll worry about how effective that is when it matters. So you've done your best to have it there ready for your hopeful return, I think, Sarge. But what's the plan? How are you going to cross a mile to get to the outskirts of Newport? Now, in terms of giving you some help, bear with me a moment, because I have a map of the vicinity somewhere. Hang on, there we go. Ah, there it is. Okay, if you have a look at the mission tab, you will now find that beneath a picture of Agatha Marsham, there is a picture of Newport. You are off the left-hand side of that map, where the British are digging in. That's the general layout. They've blown some of the bridges into Newport from this direction to slow the German advance. So if you could be anywhere along that western edge. So you've got some idea of the layout.
Okay, I think that copse of trees north of the southern road is a good place to put the Kubelwagen. What do other people think?
Seems reasonable to me.
Yeah, we
Okay.
just need to find the right moment. Sorry.
I missed that, Adriana.
We just need to find the right moment to move.
Okay, Adriana,
Yes.
Unpack that for Sergeant Strauss. What do you mean by that?
Well, the area is surveyed, and we need to find the right moment in time to cross this one mile, right? And so we should take our time and wait for the right moment and see who's watching us, possibly, right? I'm not an expert on this, but that sounds reasonable. We could also use my binoculars.
Superb. So look across that waterway. Give us some details of that waterway, can you? And is there anything in the copse of woods on the other side? Because that's the plan of action.
Okay.
Thank you.
So this shifts us to some mechanics. So I'm seeing Adriana in that copse of trees, scanning the western suburbs of Newport. There is a link to the character keeper to the dice pool roller on the bottom of the basic move sheet. You get to roll the white one to investigate the approach to Newport, Adriana. Are you making a case that your experience makes it easier, in which case you get to roll the expertise one as well?
Well, I have studied in the last couple of months more than hand-to-hand combat. I have studied strategical combat and tactics. So I would say, like, thinking about like how troops are striving and keeping control of an area was part of what I've studied. So I would say I can use my expertise.
I would agree. So that gives you the white dice and the expertise dice. Do you want to risk stress at this point?
I can add that after I roll, right? Like
You can.
Cthulhu Dark? Yeah.
Or you could
So-
re-roll the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see you roll those 2 dice to start with.
A 5 is my highest.
Okay. Now, if you look at the basic moves, you'll find investigate. 4 to 5, you get the bare minimum, and you can also ask the GM one question. So the bare minimum is that there appear to be German units on the far side of that river, but they appear to be just reconnaissance units, so they're not yet advancing in strength. That's the basic. What question do you want to ask me?
And that's a free question, right?
That's the basic one, and now you have one more question to ask me specifically that might help you.
what kind of distraction for them is necessary for us to cross the field?
Okay, that's a good question. I think that if you could arrange some kind of artillery barrage that would drive them back behind those railway lines into the buildings, that would give you a chance to get across that waterway and into the woodland. Does that seem a fair answer?
Yes.
What do you do with that information, Chief?
Well, I'm handing over to the experts because I'm leaving my field of expertise now again and need to study again.
Sarge, what do you do with that information?
Good idea. Main problem there, does anybody have a radio?
I do.
I'll
mark that on my sheet.
Yeah, be aware that that radio takes quite a lot of your load.
Is it like a giant radio? Maybe I don't.
Yeah,
I might
if
be
you're
lying.
light load, that will be your entire equipment.
Never mind. I was not envisioning such a large endeavor. I do not have a radio. I lied.
Did anybody else think to bring a radio? Because they are quite hefty things at this time of the war. The alternative is to send a runner back.
Ah, well, here we go. Private Worcester.
Reporting for duty.
Superb. Get those Dunlop road slappers on and run back to the nearest Ford artillery post and tell them we want a fire for effect barrage, 1 minute over the town.
Cool. So, how far away, but like, how much travel time would that be? I'm wondering if it makes sense for us to stick together or whether I should just head off.
You should be able to find a Ford artillery observer quite nearby, I'd have hoped.
I think you passed a little observation post, perhaps 300 or 400 yards behind you.
Oh, well, that's just a stroll. All right. So, Worcester will salute and head off to execute that plan.
I'm an NCO. You don't salute me, Worcester. You salute officers. Get that in your head.
Says, I salute everyone. And he heads off.
He saw it in a movie once, and he's been saluting everyone ever since. Okay, Worcester, we see you. Are you just wandering along the road? Or are you trying to do this with your head down in a ditch?
Worcester rather spent a little bit of time in his hair this morning. He's going to try to be a bit stealthy about this, even if it takes a little bit longer.
Okay. Then the various artillery barrages coming towards the British lines don't affect you, and we find you kind of crawling up to an observation post with this scribbled instruction from Sergeant Strauss. And the observer looks at you and said, "Who the bloody hell are you?"
Reginald Worcester, private, first class. I have a message from my sergeant, Wilbur Strauss. He says that we need this fire for something special effect barrage done over the city, and also to, I quote, shit or get off the pot.
Oh, I see. Did he write it down at all, Private?
Yes, I think I have it here. I hand him the parchment, which I've been protecting quite well, even at the expense of my clothes, which is a great personal sacrifice.
And he looks at it and he says, "Look, I just can't take a piece of paper from a private and call down artillery. Why should I do this for you?"
At that point, my character is very much used to getting his way and has no issue with telling us someone from a not quite as rich class what to do. And so he's going to put on what he believes to be at least a winning smile and says, listen, we both know that you don't want to have Sergeant Wilbur Strauss coming down here himself through artillery and telling you that you need to follow his orders to win the war. That's not going to go well for either of us. So why don't you just shoot your little guns, do your job, and we won't have to, make an issue of this in wartime.
I think that I need you to see how convincing you are,
Makes sense.
Reggie. So certainly you get to roll the white dice. And I notice that there is a degree of personal charm in your skill set. So you can certainly roll with expertise. Do you want to risk stress yet?
I don't really understand the mechanics. What are my odds for success if I don't risk stress, and what are the odds for something bad and the scale of it happening if I do?
Okay. The way that this works is that if you roll the 2 dice and you're not happy with the outcome, you can re-roll and include the stress dice, or you can include the stress dice at the start. Yeah. So with an extra dice, the chance of a high number goes up. But if when you do that, the stress dice is equal to or higher than the rest of the dice, so if in effect your success relies on the stress dice, then there's a possibility that your stress will go from 1 to 2 and so on. Does that make sense?
Sure. So what role am I looking for? What number? Right.
Well, the higher the better. It's a game in which you never quite fail. So even on a 1 to 3, you are likely to succeed or succeed at a cost. But 4 or 5 is better, and 6 is best of all. 6 has a bit of a side effect, but I'll worry about that later. Don't worry about that now.
Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong. You said that if I fail on the first roll, I can re-roll again with stress?
You can.
Seems like I should just go for the first roll either way.
Okay.
All right. So I got a 4.
Okay. So on a 4, you succeed with no obvious complications or benefits. So I think in his mind's eye, you see him whisper to the guy with him and says, he sounds like an officer. Get on the blower. And so and call down, and he looks at gives the coordinates. And by the time you are back with the others, there are artillery shells dropping on the other side of the waterway, and you see Germans retreating away because they seem to have been targeted quite precisely. So how are you as a group going to exploit this opportunity?
Can you give us some details of that waterway, please?
It's a canal.
Okay. So soon as Worcester gets back, I'll say, excellent idea, Adriana, using the artillery to distract the Germans. Now's our time to cross the canal. Strip off, let's go.
Let's go.
Okay,
We're talking about taking the Newport Channel, or where the blown bridges are. Which direction are we going?
We're going from west to east. So from the copse of woods about halfway up on the western side, we're going to cross the canal into the other copse, the larger copse of woods. And then there's a double railway line you can see.
Yep.
And that's where Adriana spotted the German skirmishers, who hopefully should have their heads down. So, yeah, I take it the bridges are well and truly blown.
I was going to add that there is a bridge, but it does have a support in the middle. So that might, if you went from bank to support to bank, that would make it slightly easier to get across.
Excellent. No reason then to strip off and carry our kit. So, yeah, I think that's a good idea.
So I'm seeing you clambering up on the eastern side, just next to that where that bridge has been blown up, and scurrying into some cover. Yeah, it's probably now mid-afternoon on the 29th. What do we do next?
So do we know right now where our target is, Dushan?
Eglantine made a point of bringing local maps. So she's got a pre-war map of Newport, and it notes where the town library is, because the only connection you've got with Marcel Duchamp at the minute is that he is the chief librarian at Newport Town Library. And the town library is in the western bit of, I might be easier to just point it out. Can you see that there are a number of parallel roads going up and down here?
Yep.
Well, the library is up here near the large church, Our Lady of Newport. The town hall is on one side of it, and the library is on the other side of a square in front of that church.
Okay.
Does that give you some bearings?
I believe so.
That's the only clue you currently have. But I'm inclined to say we've been going for 90 minutes, so I've overrun my plan for a break. Can I suggest that we take a 10-minute break now, chance to get a hot drink and make a bio break? And could we be back in our seats? It's 26 past the hour now. Back in our seats at 25 to the hour. Does that seem fair? Okay, I'll see you back here then.
Cool.
Whoever you are, I'm so tired too, but you're not muted.
Okay. I'm very tired.
Me too. It's okay.
that bombed out street looks just like my garage.
Yes. Yeah, but I'm sure yours will improve shortly. Oh, hang on. What's this? Dan. Oh, where's Dan gone?
Dan is
Oh,
there.
we thought we'd lost you for a minute then, Dan.
You did for a second, but I'm back.
I'm not finished with dinner yet, so I keep my camera off sometimes, okay? And then I can
Don't worry about that, Garrett.
get some pieces.
Okay, so just to give you a flavour for Newport, I've added a couple of period pictures to the one with the map of Newport. This is a very low-rise town. The only building with any height in it is the church you've seen on the map and the town hall next to it, but neither of them are very, very high structures. So this is very low-rise. Lots of parallel streets, as you'll see from the map. And I think that what you can see from your new point of observation is that those railway lines represent kind of stockyards and the passenger station, and they are thronged with Belgian troops under guard. It looks like they're being loaded onto trains to be shifted out of the war zone. And with some German guards, but that might explain why the British artillery is not yet firing on the town, because I think they're concerned about firing on the troops of former allies. So I'm interested in what's your plan for getting, assuming you're still aiming for the town hall, what's the plan for getting there?
I'd suggest to our group that clearly taken on a bunch of Germans, you know, there's actually only two, and I will stress maybe only two, you know, trained military people here. So no disrespect to the civilians. I think we should try and sneak around these Germans.
He says, Lister is going to agree, but tell Sergeant not to discount his own skills. He's certainly a soldier.
Well, if you think it's possible to sneak around them.
It is the afternoon.
How are our chances?
It's pretty much broad daylight as we speak.
I think.
Go ahead, Eglantine.
The distraction idea that Adriana had earlier worked well to get us here. I think we might need another one to get past. I don't think we could just sneak past them in broad daylight on land.
What's the line of sight situation here? Like, are they carefully watching the town where we are at this point? I think we're inside the town, right?
No, you're in the woodland to the left-hand side of the railway yards.
Oh, I thought we crossed the bridge.
No, you crossed the bridge across the canal into the woodland. You're now in the woodland next to the railway lines, west of the railway lines. So you can see the town on the far side. Yeah?
Yep.
And the railway yards are thronged with Belgian troops being disarmed and loaded onto trains by a relatively small number of German troops, but still German troops.
I have full trust in Sergeant Strauss' assessment of the situation. Just wanted to have an indication of what success chances we have, so that we are prepared if something goes wrong.
I think this might be a good time for me to ask each of you the question of who you care about in the team, because I think you've spent some time together now.
Ooh.
So can I start with Reggie? Which member of the team do you care most about?
Oh, Sergeant Strauss, of course.
And I must. There's an implied why answer to the question why in that. So would you make a note of that on the character keeper, please?
Sure.
Eglantine, what about you? Who at this point do you care most about?
Oh, I think Adriana.
And can I assume that that's because you're both the pursuivants, you are sharing this mission? Is that fair?
It's for a bunch of reasons at this point.
Oh.
All the civilian condescending nonsense is not really sitting well with me, and we've studied similar things, and we're sharing a cabin. Like, there are lots of reasons. She's definitely my favorite.
Sketch something out in the character keeper, just so I've got
Right.
an aid memoir. Adriana, what about you?
Well, doing cryptography with Eglantine is so amazing to do. Like, her codename Lottie is like all the time in my head. So we had a great time. Yes, yeah, and I'm very happy and fond of the more military like people around us, but trust needs to be built up still, I would say.
Okay, so that's Eglantine. Strauss, what about you?
Private Worcester. Basically, I'm charged with his protection anyway. It's my job as the sergeant to get him back.
Okay, who do you care least about, Strauss?
I'm probably going to say Eglantine. I've not had much interaction with her, and she didn't really have much to do with the major. So, yeah, just another civilian, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, make a note of that. Adriana, what about you? Who do you care least about at this point?
As I said already, I'm really happy that we have Mr. Wooster with us, because it's always good to have somebody on board who we can spare. Go on impossible missions for us.
Right, then if you could fill something in the character keeper just to remind me of that, I'd be grateful, thank you. Eglantine, what about you? Who do you care least about? Who are you prepared to sacrifice?
Oh, absolutely the sergeant. He's incredibly pompous. I could not be less interested in spending time with him. Condescending nonsense. As though we don't all like, what? Yeah, I'm just a civilian, and that's why I'm like here across enemy lines, like prepared to sacrifice myself for the good of humanity. But hey, just a civilian. So yeah, you can take a flying leap.
I think that fits beautifully. And finally, Reggie, who do you care least about?
Well, not to be reciprocal, but I think Adriana had a really good idea earlier, and that annoys Reggie. Because he's trying to impress people.
Okay, thank you. Just in case, I have to make some difficult choices. Nice to have you think about it. So, at the risk of planning paralysis, I'm going to force you to make some decisions about how you get from where you are to the vicinity of the town library.
Okay, I will toss one of my grenades quite a distance northwards down the line of railway cars, and when that goes off, I'll shout go, and we shall attempt to cross while they are distracted.
Okay, that sounds like a decisive action. So I think probably I need you to use your grenades, because you will have marked some grenades on the sheet now, I guess. So you have. So you lob one of those in a direction to help distract. Let's judge how good that distraction is, Sarge. Expertise certainly counts.
Okay, 2 dice. Here we go. 6 and 3.
Oh, that goes terribly well, doesn't it? So you see a large number of Germans from the south end of the railway stockyards running northwards towards where your grenade exploded. And then they begin to move slowly so they can just make sure that everybody's trying to make an approach that way. So you have significant time. The trouble in this game is that when you roll a 6, tell me what you see or realize that grants you an insight that's beyond human knowledge or a reminder of the horror of war. And I do want to remind you of our veil around graphic description, but what do you see that worries you?
Okay, so the Germans are loading Belgique soldiers into railway cars. One of them is a open top sort of mess tin type thing. And yeah, that grenade that's meant to go down the left-hand side of the cars, clearly the wind's caught it, and it's landed directly in one of these mess tin vehicles or carriages. And yeah, horror of war. Lots of dead Belgiques.
Fine. So that's suitably horrible. Would you roll the stress dice, please? And your stress is currently 1, I think. 2. If you roll a dice and it exceeds 2, it will go up by 1.
It goes up by 1.
Yeah, emphatically so with a 6. Right. I think Eglantine, you have a skill set that involves tradecraft, as I remember. And I think probably, I'm slightly worried Eglantine has gone for a minute. Okay, let's.
I'm here.
Oh, fine, sorry.
Dog issues.
Eglantine, I think that this is an opportunity for you to display your tradecraft to the audience, because tradecraft is everything that makes you an effective spy. Indeed. So this could be everything from, dead letterboxes via picking locks all the way through to a sneaking from A to B without being seen. So what do we see Eglantine do that demonstrates that she thinks she's going to be best at this rather than waiting for Strauss, who frankly she thinks is a pompous ass?
Yeah, I definitely, yes. I think the first thing I would do is one of the things that I am good at, or Eglantine is, or whatever, is knowing enough of any given language to kind of be able to passively communicate. And then the other thing is reading people. So she's going to read the nearest soldiers for the one who looks least like he wants to be here and most like he does not give a shit about this war and just got drafted, and is going to go and sort of talk to him flirtatiously and see if she can get some sort of useful information. And if she can't, she will try other spy-y things, but that seems like the go-to to start.
And what I'm going to assume is that if this goes well, the others will just ghost past this German in the hope that you're talking to him will distract him enough to help them not have to try hard. Fair?
If it's going well enough and there aren't other soldiers who would see, absolutely. If it isn't, then I will bring back information on what we should do instead. Fine.
So go talk to this German, presumably pretending to be a Belgian local.
Yes.
Okay. What do we hear? What's this conversation?
Goodness. Well, so the Belgians have surrendered. It's obviously been a bit of a mess. All right. So, I'm just glad the fighting's over.
You really shouldn't be here, miss. I'm assuming you're speaking to him in stilted German and he's speaking German back to you.
Yeah.
It's dangerous here, miss. You really shouldn't be here.
Well, where else am I supposed to go?
Well, are you looking for someone? Is it one of the Belgian soldiers you're looking for?
No, honestly, I'm glad we surrendered. I think we were on the wrong side of things, and clearly you all are outclassing us in every way. So.
Well, that's very flattering, miss. What's your name?
It's should have thought of that. Out of character, sorry. Having a moment.
My name is Paul. It's very nice to meet you.
Lovely name.
And rather embarrassingly, he kind of shuffles his rifle about and holds his hand out to shake your hand.
Well, it's lovely to meet you. I'm Anna.
But as I say, Miss, you should get back into the town. It's quiet now, but we don't know how long it's going to stay that way.
But you wouldn't let anything happen to me, would you?
But I can't come with you, Miss. I've got to guard the prisoners.
Why not? I just thought I would stand here and talk to you for a moment. You won't let anyone come get me here.
Oh, okay.
If it starts to look bad, I'll go back into town. But
okay.
I just saw you standing out here, and you just looked like you were a bit lonely, and I'm just sick of all this warfare, and I thought, nice to make a new friend sometimes.
He's beginning to look at you a little differently. I think there's a risk that he may be interpreting your approach in a different way, or maybe the way that you're. Okay. Well, let's.
How do you distract a soldier when you're a woman? There's like one way that works.
So I think probably I need you to roll to do something. No, let's roll to investigate, because you want to milk him for information as well, don't you?
Yes, I do.
So let's roll to investigate.
Okay.
I think certainly this falls within your spying honey trap training.
Yeah.
So you're rolling with the expertise dice, and you can worry about stress later if you like.
Okay. Oops, I hit the submit rather than the reroll. My apologies. So it's the orange and the white, correct?
That's right.
Uh-oh. That seems bad. Only 4. I might need to roll with the stress dice.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Do you want to re-roll those 2 and add in the stress dice?
What number am I aiming at?
Well, 1 to 3 is you get the bare minimum amount of information you need to proceed, which, to be honest, you've got already, which is it's quiet in town now, but it's likely to get a lot more dangerous or busy shortly. Okay. So that's the basic information. So do you want to re-roll all 3?
4 to whatever.
4 to 5, you get that, and you get to ask me a specific question, or ask Paul the soldier a specific question.
What do we think, team? I'm thinking I could ask a specific question. It might be enough. I imagine I'm going to take a lot of stress as this mission continues. So,
well, I'm very keen to see the stress relief mechanisms work. So go ahead, Eglantine.
The stress relief mechanisms sound terrible. I read the rule book.
Well, we're trying to find a person. So if they've been, doing investigations of people in the town to identify soldiers, they might know very well where someone is.
I don't think I should ask him about art. That would, if I'm trying to play the helpless civilian role, I don't think mentioning a person of interest is going to be what stops him from suspiciously taking me in and interrogating me in ways that I would not prefer to endure.
And might cross into our lines and veils. So yeah.
So I'm thinking perhaps to find out whether we will be able to sneak by them. Asking that of the GM more than of.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. You ask him, and he will provide my answer. So are you going to re-roll the dice in the hope of getting more than 2? So
if I don't I have 4? I have the expertise is 2 and the regular is 2, so that's 4. So that gives me
no, sorry, you don't add them together. It's the highest roll.
That's why I was so confused by this conversation.
No, I should have made that clear.
Well, I'd better roll with some stress then.
Okay, so highlight white, orange, and green dice and hit re-roll selected.
I hate roll for your party.
That doesn't matter as long as roll for your party doesn't hate you.
It usually does, that's why. But so how do I interpret the...
Okay, so you look at the ones you rolled, and you look for the highest score, which is the white dice with 5.
Mm-hmm.
Because the stress dice was not the highest one you roll, you don't have to worry about stress.
Huzzah!
So on a 5, you get to ask me, as well as that piece of information he threw you, you get to ask me a specific question. You get to ask Paul, the infantryman, a question. He will give you the best answer he can.
Okay. It looks like, we already surrendered, so it doesn't really matter. But you're keeping a pretty tight perimeter and everything here. Are you worried about people sneaking past you? Like, where would the vulnerability even be?
Yeah, that not all the Belgian soldiers have surrendered, Miss. And we're slightly worried that that if this lot aren't supervised, then they might just, take to the countryside. And obviously, you'd understand because you think that we're on the right side. We can't afford to have lots of Belgian soldiers out in the countryside just taking pot shots at my mates.
No, not at all. But you've got all the rebellious ones rounded up here.
No, we've just got any that we've found, Miss. There may well be some other less reputable Belgian soldiers who've disobeyed orders to surrender. They might be in the town. So you watch yourself, Miss.
I was going to say, I don't want to be near any of them. Wouldn't trust them to be gentlemanly. But do you think they're in the countryside as well?
I don't know, Miss. All I know is what my orders are to keep this lot here in case any of them turn nasty.
Are there people patrolling the countryside? All the guns, they make me a little bit afraid. I'm just a bit delicate. Are you all around?
We hold all the ground east of here and south of here, Miss.
East and south.
On the map, that's right and down.
Okay.
Yeah, so British off the left-hand side of the map, Germans off the right-hand side of the map, and Germans south. I think that's probably all you're going to get for that role.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
And given the success of that conversation, I think the other three of you just ghost between some rail cars and find yourself on the far side of the railway line in among a building, waiting for Eglantine to follow you and rendezvous. So you're now in the town of Newport. What do you do?
I assume we'd be looking to make our way towards the point of interest that we identified earlier.
And the fact that this is a low-rise town with just this one large tower and spire makes navigating towards it very simple. I suppose what I'm interested in is what in the movie of this we see you doing. So is this, ducking into houses, crossing back walls, or is this, going from door to door up a main street? I just want to get some picture of the fiction for my own purposes.
Am I already following them, or are they going without me and I'm going to figure it out later?
No, I think you've caught them up. I'm assuming you're back together. Reggie, I think you were about to say something.
I'm wondering how obviously military Paul and I stand out as.
I assume you're in pucker British uniform. You will see they'll see a picture of standard wartime British uniform to the right-hand side of the map. So my assumption is you're in uniform, unless you tell me you're not.
Well, that seems dangerous, just to walk down the street with that in German-occupied territory.
Sarge, what's your view on that? Well, we were operating most of the time in British lines, so what we can do, we could try and get hold of some civilian clothes. But yeah, currently I think I'm in uniform.
Equally, I'm very happy for you to define a unit of load as a change of clothes, or a civilian overcoat, perhaps that Strauss you've looted, or Reggie brought from Harrods.
Sounds good.
Sure. My character's right from the start was talking about how he always seems to have an extra change of clothes, so that works quite well for me.
Okay, well, you'll find there are some spaces at the bottom of the equipment list for you to fill in stuff that isn't already there, and mark one equipment box. Okay, I'm going to assume that's relatively superficial, unless you tell me it's a complete change of clothes, in which case I'll take 2 boxes of equipment off you. I'm talking about an overcoat that just covers your uniform. Is that okay?
Yep,
sounds good.
Fine. So. My question remains, your objective is to get at least in sight of the church and the square in front of it. I want to know what I see you doing to get there.
There isn't a general ban on being outside at the moment, right? So if I'm just a woman on the street with a basket or a pushcart, like a wheelbarrow, that should be totally fine if I seem to have like a destination to go to.
I think that's certainly worth trying. As long as you don't look like, as long as you don't look like you're loitering. You could very well be a group of refugees moving from one part of the town to the other, if that's what you wanted to opt for.
I have an embellishment on that idea that might work. Given that we've just been through some horrors of war and surrendered and all that, I think if we have like shrouds, which, are cloths of some sort, that Adriana and I could sort of huddle together and go into the church like we were going to pray in the aftermath of all this. That is what makes sense to me in terms of seeming like a normal civilian.
Yeah, I do need to stress that there are not very many people moving about because they're afraid to be outdoors, because this is potentially a war zone just about to happen. So
I think we would go like together quickly to the church, rather than sort of wandering about.
Okay, where are you going to steal this stuff from? Or do you want to have it in your equipment? Because I got 2 men in overcoats, and both of you are already in civilian clothes. So whether you need anything but the headscarf you have stuffed into your back pocket, I don't know.
Yeah, I would assume just like just any sort of thing sort of wrapped around shawl-like or whatever else. Just to make being hunched over and sad looking a bit more convincing. And then we can sort of huddle together with fear and go in that way.
If you were confronted, what approach would you take? Would you act against the person confronting you, or would you seek to negotiate your way past? What am I expecting if I throw something at you?
I would say we should make an encounter as awkward as possible for the other person, so that they prefer going their own way, like lamenting loudly.
I was thinking the same, just and a bit of like panic at having been stopped by someone, combined with praying and lamenting, just a like overwhelming amount of emotional outbursting and rending of garments and whatnot.
That tells me, so you're not going to pull a gun on and shoot him. That's what I'm hearing. No. So what I see you then is scurrying, overcoats up, afraid of what's going to happen, scurrying up the road towards the church, and you come around a corner into the church, into the court, into the market square in front of the church, and I think this is a fine opportunity for me to try a move that says avoid detection. You'll find it on the basic moves when your cover falters or you are at risk of exposure. So Eglantine, you and Adriana, I think, are more likely to take the sharp end in this. Which of you does when the group of German soldiers turn towards you and point their guns at you?
Oh, it should be me. This is my job, right? I'm the spy.
Because I need to prove myself against Eglantine.
No, you're young and
well, the nice thing about this game is you can both do it, and we can take the best and worst results depending on how this plays.
I agree. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, Lottie.
So let's start with Adriana then. So tell me, do you think that your expertise plays here, or is this just your ego at work?
This is just my unfortunate ego here.
Okay, so I think you're just rolling the white dice, unless you want to throw stress at it immediately.
Next, step by step.
Okay, so let's see you roll the white dice. Oh, that's my goodness me, that's great. So I will tell you now, you need to convince them you're innocent or flee the authorities. So
or take some stress
or run. Oh, fine. Let's re-roll with stress. So now the white and the green dice. Oh,
double 5.
okay. Now I always have to check this because though I wrote the rule, I cannot remember it.
Equal or higher.
Yeah. So
Oh,
you will need to roll for stress. So if you roll the green dice and score more than 1, your stress will increase by 1. Okay.
It is increased.
Okay. Mark that on the sheet. So and then I need Eglantine to see whether you can do better than that, or whether things get a bit sticky when you find yourself competing with Adriana to be most distressed.
I'm going to use the expertise die as well.
Yeah, I think that's fair, because this is, again, your bag.
Yeah.
And worry about stress later.
So my highest is a 6.
Oh, well, that goes terribly well, doesn't it? Because on a 6, on 4+, you don't attract any unwanted attention. And at the point where it looks like they might be getting interested in Adriana, I think what I see is you going in and doing a much more professional job, frankly.
Yes. Absolutely.
And ushering her away. Yeah? But because you rolled a 6, you say what you see or realize that grants you an insight that's beyond human knowledge, or a reminder of the horror of war. There are opportunities here for you to shape the fiction, just to, open the box as wide as you like.
Well, we're about to go into the church, yes? So as I look at the church, any crucifix in vision is sideways. They're not upside down, but they're sideways, which is not a sign I'm familiar with. And all of the stained glass windows depicting various things have fogged up to such a degree that whatever was going on in them has been obscured, and it looks weirdly murky.
I like that. I'm rather hoping you're all going to say we'll go in the church then.
I mean, at this point, we've made that whole fuss about how we needed to go in. That's how I convinced them to leave Adriana alone. My poor sister lost her husband in the war, and she's just hysterical. And that was the line I took. So we need to go in and pray and light a candle.
Okay. Reggie, what Eglantine has pointed out, those crucifixes are strange. The carved crucifixes on the edge of the buttresses aren't straight up; they're slightly off center, and it looks murky in there. What surprises you, Reggie, when you enter the main body of this large cathedral-sized church? Reggie, what surprises you when you go into the church?
Sorry, I thought you referred to someone else. So what surprises me? I think I'd be surprised at how well maintained it was within a war zone. That seems like somebody or something has either protected this place and everything seems pristine. There aren't even any smudges on the stained glass. There's no dust on the pews, and that seems quite perplexing to me considering the circumstances.
Thank you for that. Who else do you see in the church when you enter it, Wilbur?
I think, there's a lot of old people in here, clearly coming together for protection. A lot of old people.
Okay. That's what we see then. So what do you do? Eglantine, Adriana, you were first in. What's your inclination? And you are the secret agent end of this operation.
Do we know what Marcel Duchamp looks like?
I think I put a picture of him in the mission briefing.
Okay. So...
a rather suave man with a pipe in the only picture the pursuivants could scare up for him.
I must have scrolled wrongly because I didn't see it, but I'm assuming we know, so we will see. So I think we should look around and see if he's here, for one thing, because that would make things easy.
Then I think this is about investigating. What do I see you actually doing to find out? Just looking from old person to old person, or more than that?
I don't think we should be quite that in people's faces in the church. We're like not from around here, and hopefully they won't notice. But I think maybe we're walking around the perimeter of the church. Usually churches have like areas where you can light a candle, and like areas where we'll do the right rituals in the right places so that we look like we belong, while actually like scanning and hopefully we'd see.
Yeah, that works for me. I think that's roll to investigate, Eglantine.
All right. I'm going to continue to use my expertise dice. It seems to come in handy a lot because I'm only doing things that relate to my job. The highest one is a 6.
Gee whiz. So I think that I can tell, you can ask me 2 questions. The basic information you get for free is that you do not see anyone resembling Marcel Duchamp among the old people gathered here. They look frightened, I think it's fair to say.
Okay. And then I get to ask you 2 other questions?
You do.
Where is Marcel Duchamp?
I can't tell you that directly because you can't see him. But you do notice somebody, a young blonde man, standing in front of a door at the bottom end of the church. It's where you'd expect there to be maybe some robing rooms for the priests, that kind of stuff. So that's the answer to your first question. It looks like somebody's guarding a door down there.
Okay. Second question is either does there seem to be a way to get past that fellow, or are we noticing any other dangerous looking things?
I think I can tell you that he is doing his best to look unobtrusive and not draw attention to himself. It's only your training that really allowed you to spot him. But you rolled a 6, so you do get to describe something that, in the words of the move, says what you see or realize that grants you an insight that's beyond human knowledge, or a reminder of the horror of war. So what about him gives you a shiver?
I think he's standing too still. Like his attempt to be unobtrusive and stand there is too effective for a normal person.
I like that. Your stress is currently 1. So having noticed that, I need you to roll for stress. So roll the green dice, hoping only to score 1, because anything else will increase your stress.
Oh, well, there it goes.
Okay, so stress goes from 1 to 2.
All right.
Yeah, he is, I don't want to say preternaturally still, but he is extremely still. What do we do? Sarge, you and Reggie are there as well. Eglantine has pointed out the guy in the corner. What do you think, Sarge?
I think this is a perfect job for our 2 undercover operatives to go and have a word with this gentleman and get the information that we believe him to have. I think we've, guards have done their job. We've got the people here, so let's let the experts do their thing.
Yeah, I've just noticed the comment in the just civilians till he needs a job done. Okay, Eglantine and Adriana, what approach do you take?
I think we should keep up the ruse that we're mourning sisters, because I feel like it would be odd to change what we seem to be doing in the middle of the church. And we should go up to this fellow and hope that since he looks so out of place, he won't notice that we're really out of place, and say that we've left something down in the rectory, or whatever you call a room like that in a church, and that it belonged to my sister's husband, and perhaps his Bible or some such thing, or rosary. And it would mean so much to us to be able to retrieve it. And hopefully not have to escalate beyond that if he will just let us down.
Okay. I think that the basic response to that is no one passes this door. Now, you can deploy a skill to milk him for more, or you can take more drastic action. What do you do?
I should give Adriana a chance to weigh in. I don't want to dictate everything, after all.
I'm really nervous. Like the sergeant is watching us and wants to see a solution fast.
Who cares about the sergeant? Anyway.
Well, he's
can't talk about
somehow
him in
our
front-
boss.
For nothing, I'll tell you there's a bulge under his armpit, Adriana.
The blonde fellow, or
Like
Yeah,
he's
he's
hiding
armed.
a weapon.
Yeah, you
Oh.
get that. You get that for free because you come close enough to him now. What do you do, Adriana?
Oh. I think I've forgotten to write myself into the guest book of the church. I'll be back, Eglantine. I'm sorry. Running out of options here. What shall we do?
Eglantine, Adriana is backing off with a quaver in her voice. What do you do?
well, someone needs to get the job done, so I'm going to have to stay here. With Blondie
What was
mixed gun or whatever. We can't cause like a gunfight in the church. We're trying to do a stealth mission. Anyway, what? I'm so sorry, but why can't anyone go past the door? Usually in church every Sunday we're allowed to go down, and it would mean the world to my sister.
Okay, I just go, and I know this guy will grab me and stop me, but that will be your chance. Okay, I'm going. I'm on my way.
Oh, right. So Adriana seeks to kind of just bustle past him.
Yes.
Yeah.
That will be enough
Okay.
distraction.
And his hand goes to under his coat, and he turns towards her and away from you, Eglantine. What do you do?
I punch him in the face as hard as I can.
Okay, let's have you roll to confront the mythos and its minions.
I mean, this was not the action I planned on taking, but I'm not going to let him shoot Adriana. So, confront the. Where's the?
It's on the basic moves. It's quite a long one, but the bottom line is that it's like do something, but there's a chance of doing harm.
Right. Okay.
Okay. And your intention here is to kill or subdue.
Subdue.
Okay. Let's have you try to subdue him. So you will roll, I think, with your expertise because you have hand-to-hand training.
Yes. Actually, can I slightly modify that?
Go ahead.
Because I think in the character I'm in at the moment, I would actually hit him in the face with my bag. The purse.
Okay.
Right?
Let's see you do that.
Makes more sense.
So
Okay.
you roll with expertise.
All right. So the highest is a 3 there. That's not ideal.
Okay. So on a 3, you get the bare minimum. You get the bare success. So you do it, but with a cost, and the cost is that you do not subdue him. You distract him and stop him drawing a gun on Adriana, but that doesn't stop him drawing a gun on you, unless you re-roll with stress.
Oh, I should probably reroll with the stress, but then I'm going to get something low anyway and have to take stress and damage every time. But
I can help myself, no worries.
yeah, you're not the one in trouble anymore. He's going to pull a gun on me.
I will take care that I'm in trouble again soon.
Well, I need to know first. I
Right.
need to know if Eglantine is going to roll again,
Yeah,
and if
I'm
not,
gonna roll
I will
again.
come to Adriana and then
gonna roll
Wilbur and Reggie.
But he's too close to me with the gun for me not to roll again. There's not going to be time for someone to intervene necessarily. All right, now my highest die is a 5.
And it's not the stress dice. You don't need to worry
Yes.
about stress. So with a 5, the outcome is you subdue him. So as he draws the gun and points it towards you, the bag comes back in the other direction. And whatever you have in the bottom of there is sufficient to catch him across the temple, and he goes out cold.
Good riddance to bad rubbish. Shall we head down?
Wilbur, Reggie, you see this happen. What do you do?
So I'm guessing the whole church saw this?
Are you going to stop and wait to see what the rest of the church is doing, or are you going to act?
It's a bunch of old people. We can manage them.
I'm inclined to quickly get up out of my pew and go in that direction pretty quickly.
Okay, Sarge is in motion. Reggie,
Yep.
what do you do?
I'm going to follow and I'm going to say I say, I've never heard such foul language directed at a lady. This is good for you, miss.
Is that in English, just for reference?
Do I speak? I'm not sure if I speak French.
Oh gosh, yes, you're properly educated.
Oh, then of course. Then I would be speaking it in the local tongue. I believe we're in Belgium right now.
Wilbur can probably find
German or
a
French
lady
here?
of ill repute in Calais, but he doesn't have a lot of the fluent. So what are you going to do with the man on the ground?
I'm going to check him to make sure that he's all right, set him up because, of course, we're not hostile here. I saw hand motions.
Yes, those were the come downstairs right away so we can accomplish our mission before something else terrible happens. He'll be fine.
What
Hand
I'm curious about, are you attempting to hide the unconscious German on the door, or are you just going past him, Wilbur and Reggie?
I'm inclined to pick him up. Shall we shoulder him between us, Reggie? As if he's a drunk man on a night out?
Absolutely. We should get him to a good bed.
Yes.
And I think at that point, the scene closes on you carrying him through the door that he was guarding, closing it behind you. And I'm going to suggest that we have a 5-minute break and then play through to finish. Okay? Back here at 25 minutes past the hour.
some stage we need to organise that PbtA Con.
We do, and yes, because is it in February?
It is indeed. I think Rick Fuller, second Rick, may be interested.
Right. Well, whichever one of us thinks of it first, check out the website.
Okay.
And find some way to make some kind of speculative booking for 3, I suppose. And then we can worry about the rest of the details after the event.
Yeah.
Oh, God. No, hang on. February. Did I tell you? I thought I did, that I'm going to be in South Africa in February, or from the middle end of February to the middle end of March. There's a 3-week window in there where I'm going to be away. We just bought the plane tickets. I really should know about it.
Okay. Well, then it's best you look at the dates and see if they fit, but probably not if you're away for 3. It's a short month.
Yeah. And I think it is. I think it's the last 2 weeks in February and the first week in March we're away. Hang on, my diary is up here. Let me look. While we discuss this on YouTube, nobody knows where I live. They can't come and burglarize me. We go.
Well, yeah, we'll just take this offline and we'll sort it out. Let me know if those dates fit, and
I will.
We'll all be good.
I will. But yes, I'd forgotten about that, and I couldn't remember if I'd mentioned we were away. I think I did mention we were thinking of being away, but it wasn't certain. It's the last. We're away for the last full. Oh no. Yeah, it is the last 2 weeks. The last 2 full weeks in February. That's. Hang on. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be away. It starts on the 22nd. That's our first weekend away. Sorry. I need to get my priorities right, Paul. Okay. Just waiting on Dan. So we have about 30 minutes to play. And I'm if I've got my attendance right, I think, Gerrit, you're not in next week's game, but you're in the last one. So if between us we need to come up with some reasonable reason for you to be occupied in something else next session and then reappear. So if you can keep an eye on that, I'll try to as well. I've got an idea, but I'll see where it goes. I'm inclined to push on because we are now over the 5 minutes, aren't we? Yeah, okay. And Dan will join us when he can. So you go through that door and hi Dan. You go through that door, and while you might have expected it to be a series of robing rooms, that's on the other side of the altar. This is a set of stairs going down into the crypt. So unless you tell me otherwise, I'm going to put you in the crypt.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. I love asking these questions in more independent indie games. Who goes first? What's the order of march?
I think it's not me. I've gotten in. I think Adriana and I have gone into the stairwell first.
I think your job is done.
And been like, at least me, I have backed up against. I'm going to follow them down because what else am I going to do? But I'm definitely not going first. People with guns should go first.
Okay. Are you going to
the right equipment go first? No.
Okay, so Wilbur, are you and Reggie going to carry this guy down, or leave him here propped against the door?
I think if can Reggie carry him by himself?
Yeah,
are you reasonably stout, Reggie?
Absolutely.
Yeah, if he's not too careful, dragging him down, that'll be fine.
Excellent.
I think I should take his gun.
Say again, Eglantine?
I think I should take his gun.
Fine. Then
he comes to.
Fine. that makes sense. Mark a revolver on your sheet, but don't mark any load. Sorry, mark load, but because you are carrying a revolver.
Yes.
And so what I've got is Wilbur going first, then Adriana and Eglantine, and then Reggie dragging the body down afterwards. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Wilbur, what do you do when you go around the corner at the bottom of the stairs and come face to face with two men with machine guns?
Okay, how close are they?
I'd have thought about 5 paces.
Any other people I can see?
No, there's another door between them. And they were in conversation when you arrived, and the noise of a body being dragged down the stairs clearly drew their attention as you came around the corner. What do you do?
Very well. I would like to butt stroke one of them with my weapon. And yeah, so I'm going to mark off my Sten gun, but I'm going to try and hit him with the butt of the weapon, one of them.
Fine. So I think that they are reasonably surprised. So I'm not going to make you roll the failure dice this time round. So let's see how that goes. Confront the mythos on its minions by rolling to do something else. Yeah, off you go.
I have hand-to-hand combat.
You do. So you roll with expertise.
Okay, here we go. A 4 and a 1, so success.
Okay, so you succeed with no obvious complication. One of them goes down in a heap when you bang him in the nose with the back of the butt end of your Sten gun. The other one, his machine gun, his Schleiser machine gun, is coming up. We see it coming up in slow motion. We see Adriana Eglantine come into his field of view. Reggie is behind, dragging the body. Who does what?
I'm going to try to pistol whip this guy with the revolver.
Okay.
I don't want to shoot him in the church. If I
okay. Okay, Eglantine. Roll. Fine. You're going to try and emulate the success of Sergeant Strauss. Go for it. Roll with expertise.
So I got a 4.
Okay. You succeed with no particular ill effects. He didn't have time to get a shot off because you acted instantly. You have another pair of unconscious men in plain clothes and another door.
My suggestion, it's just a suggestion, is that we should take their clothing so that you have it, the two of you military fellows, and we should place them in a compromising position so that when they come to, that they'll have some extra distraction to deal with before figuring out what's happened.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable. So we'll strip these guys down to their underpants and put all 3 of the now unconscious bodies down on the ground. I'm quite happy to use these guys' belts to actually tie them up.
Let's tie them to each other, shall we?
Yep.
And the rules of dramatic necessity mean that the clothes that you strip from them will fit Reggie and Sergeant Strauss perfectly well, and you won't need their belts because the trousers will stay up without them. Are you changing into those clothes now, just for my mental picture?
Yes, I think being in German uniforms could be quite handy now.
Quick
question.
They're not in German uniforms. They're plain clothes. So they look like civilians.
Oh, okay. Yeah, more civilian clothes is better than just a great coat. So
okay. Yeah. What do you do next?
Single door.
Yep.
Okay. Now we could put a bit more, possibly some of the clandestine members of the team could attempt to see maybe see through the door lock what's on the other side.
I won't make you roll for that. It's a very thick old church door. You wouldn't be surprised if you couldn't hear anything through it. So you're not surprised when you don't hear anything through it.
But old church doors like that usually have the really old style locks where you actually like put in a key and turn it and you can actually look through it the rest of the time. Maybe you like flip the little metal bit over. So I'm hoping you can see through.
Okay, I will tell you. I'm flashing back 30 years to you enter a room down a staircase. There is a solid door ahead of you. Having checked for traps, you don't find any. However, looking through the keyhole, you can see a desk and a chair and a desk light illuminating a dank cellar space.
All right. I will report this to everyone.
Okay, then, with weapons drawn, I think we're in a good position to enter.
Who's in a good position to enter? I.e., who goes first?
It's a large door, so probably open. We could easily...
Two of you? Two abreast?
Yep. I think we'll thank the clandestine members and myself and Reggie.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I insist the door is kicked in, and you burst into the room. There is the desk and the desk light and a chair and a man chained to the wall out of sight from the door to one side.
Clothed,
it is Marcel
tortured.
Duchamp.
Oh, good heavens.
He has been subjected to an intense interrogation, and he's chained to the wall with his head hanging down.
Nobody else in the room?
No.
Very well. I shall point to him and say, Reggie, free that man.
I'll get on it.
And you can
I can
unclasp.
help you.
Yeah.
I was going to say, definitely Team Clandestine should rush over in an attempt to help and or talk to him or tend to his wounds, whatever we can do.
So one of you will support him, while
Yes.
two of you free his hands, one of you will support him gently down the wall to where he slumps.
I will
It
do
is
that. I can talk
Clearly
to him.
Marcel, based on the photograph.
Yes. Everything will be fine. Everything will be fine.
Oh,
You two do the releasing. I'll lower him down the well.
no more. I've told you
Marcel.
all I know.
Marcel Duchamp, yes?
Yeah, yes. My name is Marcel Duchamp. I
Yes.
am the town librarian.
It's all right. It's all right now. We're here to rescue you. We won't let any more harm come to you.
Rescue me?
Yes, we've come to extract you. We've made
He
it to.
throws his arms around you. Oh, thank God.
It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right here.
It's
Do
him.
you
Let's
need-
go.
Yes, can you be sensitive for a moment, Ariana? Marcel, we need to take you to safer. We need to take you to a safer place. Can you keep your arms around me? But we're going to walk, all right?
Yes.
Adriana, Reggie, help me. I'm going to try to get him to his feet, but
This will take two of you, because Reggie wasn't too careful about that guy's head bouncing down the stairs. So this will take two of you to lift him carefully.
No problem.
Reggie, when you're carrying him, can you ask him, what he knows? You've got a good bedside manner, and plus you can probably speak whatever he's written on in. Yeah.
Let's see, Reggie. Can you cut through to this kind of peculiar combination, dreamlike state that he's in? I think that I am prepared for your calm personal charm. Because though you're a bit of a dick some of the time, I think that you do have a soft charm to you. So try talking to Marcel.
Marcel. I'm going to say his name a few times to try to orient him on this Korg's identity and say, can you tell me what happened? It's going to help us help you.
They came for me at the library. They seemed to think I knew something, and they took me and everything.
Did you say, we're here to help get you to safety? Is there anything you can tell us that can make this easier? What might they have thought you knew?
Wassermeister is here. They have a plan. Agatha knew about the plan. They took everything everything I had, everything she gave me.
When?
A day, 2 days ago, I don't know.
It's all right. Says, so does anybody have any specific things we should ask about that they might be aware of from other
Well,
sessions?
what I'd like to do is to have you roll to investigate, Reggie, using your expertise.
All right. So we just moved to that tab. So roll expertise and the white die.
That's right.
I got a 6.
Oh, great. So you get to ask me, or the team can ask Marcel 2 specific questions, or try to elicit a response from him. But I will come back to you having a nasty shock shortly, Reggie. So which 2 questions do you want Marcel to answer? He's given you the what you get for nothing.
Cool. I defer to the expertise of the clandestines here.
I mean, if there are suggestions out there, not directives, they're just thoughts. One would be if he knows anywhere safe we could take him in the short term, while we see if there's anything else that can get done. And the other is, does he remember enough of the plan that if we were to get him cleaned up and fed and whatever else, we might be able to work some of it out, or will we need to investigate further regardless? Those are my 2 things.
Okay. Let me answer the second question first, and then you can think about the other question. The second question of does he remember a thing? He says, she told me that I just had to keep them safe. I wasn't to open the folder. I didn't open the folder, but they have it. They took everything.
I'm going to assume that.
Does he know where they took it? Possibly.
That is that a second question?
Well, I'm gonna, if it's relayed in English, then I'll suggest that that's a good second question. But I'm not in the asking situation.
If we're looking for information, it seems that if he doesn't have it, we should find out where the information is.
Sounds good, Reggie.
And he's draped across your shoulders, and he looks towards the desk, and a finger kind of goes there.
Well, that works for me. I suggest I make a nod to somebody to go take a look at that.
I will go take a look.
Reggie, what is it about this conversation that makes you feel uncomfortable or worried enough to make a stress roll?
All right. I think there's something wrong with him. Like the way, not just physically, like there's something about his speech that almost sounds like there's almost alien, like clicking sound that he's making against his tongue against his teeth. That just sounds deeply twisted or strange or alien to me. And I'm sure it's just the nerves getting to me, but it's certainly stressful.
Then would you like to roll the stress dice and hope that you...
But I'll do my duty.
So a 1, and you take that on the chin.
All right. So does that mean my stress is at 2 now, or? If
the dice roll exceeded 1, your stress goes up by 1.
Okay. Well, stiff upper lip. Got it.
But yeah, there is more that has been done to him. He has been subjected to some kind of unconventional interrogation, I think it's fair to say. Somebody rushed to the desk.
I did.
And there is a folder there, which was sealed with sealing wax, which has been torn open, and inside you will find a number of pieces of paper, a number of references to a variety of German texts. Perhaps the thing that catches your eye, he said, quickly looking it up, is a telegram. Deutsche Reichspost Telegram, I'll translate for convenience. Wassermeister, Valpurgin informs me of plans, cessation of activities to take place. If forces you believe behind Dogger Bank event are real, do everything possible to ensure cooperation for glorious future of our 1,000-year Reich. Do not fail. I will not be lenient again. Heil Hitler. And it's signed RFHH, which we all know is Reichsführer Heinrich Himmler.
Right. Adriana, take this. You'll know what to look for. Keep looking through it. I want to look through the rest of the desk in case there are more files and things. He did say the folder and everything. And
you will find his briefcase, the contents of his briefcase that he had with him, presumably when he was traveling with Agatha. But that seems to be mundane records of his own archaeological work, I have to tell you. But I am conscious the clock is ticking, both fictionally and in reality. So I need to know what you're going to do next.
Well, I was looking for like hidden compartments or anything like that in the desk, but it sounds like there aren't any. So
Are you going to do that here and take the time, or are you going to get out?
I would take the. If this is where the information is, I don't foresee us coming back after everything we've done. So
sorry. I just assumed you. A secret compartment in the desk. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, roll for tradecraft.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about a secret compartment in the briefcase.
No. We can just take it all now. Right. Oh, that was a tremendous failure. I will roll again with stress. This is too important. Oh, well, stress is the highest one at a 6.
Good.
And then I have a 5 on the white one. So do I still have a success, but I also take a bunch of stress? Or do I not have success?
You have as good a success as you can get. So you can ask me 2 questions. And the first question I'll tell you, is there a secret compartment? The answer is no. But there is a document in German in the desk drawer which describes the secondment of a German submarine to Sonderkommando Special Group KFW2, the one that you believe is in the vicinity. And you have one more question to ask me.
Okay, I'm going to hand that paper to Adriana as well. Please keep all these together with the briefcase. Let's see. Marcel seems not in the best way. We need to leave quickly. Is there a way out of here that is less conspicuous than going back the way we came?
I can work with that. There is a rota showing the shifts of the guards. There is a shift change due in 5 minutes. And there's a note that says, make sure that the other exit is guarded.
Well, let's get out of here right now. Then.
Der andere Ausgang, the other exit.
And it turns out you didn't see it when you came down. You didn't see it when you came down because it's a doorway in the side of the solid stairwell leading to a tunnel to an exit across the street in the base of the town hall. So we have 10 minutes left to play. And my inclination is to say that is a good point for us to close out for this session, with you emerging in the town hall. I do have a couple of questions for you, kind of in advance of next session. Does anybody want to alter their judgment on who they care most about or least about?
No.
Adriana?
Not yet.
Okay. What about Reggie?
I think his respect is shifted to be more about Eglantine. So.
Fine. If you'd make that change, please, I'd be grateful. Which means that you may well have changed your judgment about who you care least about.
Not really, not yet.
Okay. Adriana, what are you going to do? And I to step above the fiction here, to explain your absence from next week's session. What do you want Adriana to be doing?
I want to save Marcel Duchamp's life.
Fine. Fine.
Marcel Duchamp is very dear to my heart. I heard about his work, and I'm a big fan, and I have a lot of questions about his archaeological endeavors.
Fine. That works perfectly. So can I suggest an opportunity for each of you to contribute to just a brief epilogue scene before we go to credits? I think I'll start with Adriana, because you've got a clear idea what Adriana is doing next. So what do we see that demonstrates what you're doing here? It could be on your way out to Newport, or it could be wherever you end up. I don't know. Not too far away, because you're coming back.
I'm already in a jeep to bring Marcel Duchamp into safety and going through his papers, his research papers, and he's currently asleep. He has a lot of sleep to in horizontal position to get past him, and I'm going through all of his material, and I find patterns. I find that some of his archaeological work is not mundane at all.
Lovely. Thank you for that little hook for the last session. What about Strauss, Chatfield, and Worcester? Your instructions, Eglantine, were to act on whatever you got from Marcel. And what you have in your head so far is evidence of the secondment of the submarine U-3A to Sonderkommando KfW 2. So what do you think your orders require of you in this epilogue scene?
So I think, it depends. Do we have a way to communicate, like, once we're back on our vessel? I know we don't have, like, a radio that is portable, but, like, do we have a communication device?
I tell you what, can I suggest an epilogue for you, and you can veto it if you don't like it?
Sure.
I'm going to put you in a basement with some renegade Belgian soldiers and a radio.
All right, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Let's get some, like, alcohol involved, though.
Well, because I am very keen to offer the start of the next session some stress relief. But yeah, there's kind of with you communicating back to base. Wilbur, what about? No, let me start with Wilbur. What about you, Wilbur?
I think in this basement, Wilbur's brewing up, sitting down with the young Reginald. Saying that that was a bit hairy, a lot of nastiness out there, and offering the young lad a brew.
Well, can I then suggest, because we've got 5 minutes, can I suggest that you are seeking relief from the horror by brewing up with a mate?
I think so.
You'll find that on the other rule tab. So when there is appropriate break in the action and the GM agrees, you can describe a brief scene based on one of the following ways to reduce your stress. Whatever you do, there is always a cost. Reduce stress by 1 and roll 1d6. So Wilbur, you can reduce stress by 1 and then roll a d6 on the if you take time to brew up with a mate move. So roll the white one.
5.
5. 4+. There's a blow up. Agree with the GM whether to apply the 4+ result from verbally abuse, bully, or shame someone, or beat someone up.
I think
this conversation doesn't go in quite the direction you'd hoped, Wilbur.
So is it me bullying somebody?
You make the choice, because the other stress relief moves include verbally abuse somebody, verbally abuse or bully someone, beat somebody up. Yeah. So does this turn to violence or just verbal abuse?
I think I take it out on. I think some Belgique guy tries to sort of muscle in on our.
No, you are brewing up with a mate.
Oh, okay. Then I just verbally insult about he should have been a bit quicker down there. So yeah, I verbally insult the young Tom.
Right, and if you look at if you verbally abuse, bully, or shame someone who matters to you or the mission, on 4+ and they are a PC, your words hit them really hard. they roll for stress.
Okay.
So Reggie, roll for stress.
Let's see.
It's currently 1.
All right.
Roll
All right,
the green
got
die.
4, so I believe I'm increased.
You are. So your stress goes up by 1. But the nice thing about it being a 6 is that it was really worth it. Reduce stress by another 1, Wilbur. Oh,
Well,
you only
that was
have
a
1
good stress relief. Dress down this young lad, make him feel like crap.
Wilbur, sorry, Reggie, you're our final scene. You're our final kind of picture at the end of this this episode. What do we see you as we close out?
I think after the verbal dressing down, I thought I actually did quite well on that mission. And so I start sort of retreating myself and start taking things a bit more seriously and going through the notes and trying to write down anything I possibly can about what I could be thinking of. And so I start stewing over both what happened, what could have done differently, and what this might mean for the future as my encounter with the interrogated Duchan sort of sticks in my brain.
I think that's really cool and a great place to end this session on. So we've got about 5 minutes left. I would quite like a quick stars and wishes if you're up for it, guys, if that's okay. Can I start in the order of the character keeper in reverse? So before I end the recording, Dan, do you have any stars that you want to hand out to anything or anyone?
I don't know what this means.
Oh, sorry. Stars and wishes is a way to give feedback to the participants or to the GM or the, whatever you like. So was there anything that you particularly liked that you saw in that you thought, oh, that was good?
There was a really fun sense of tension. It felt very realistic. The fabric, I thought everybody played their characters well and participated. I had fun.
Well, I didn't want to say I was feeling the pressure of this being your first Gauntlet game, but I was feeling the pressure of this being so, even if you're being kind, Dan, I really appreciate it. Thank you. Moving back, Pearl, stars?
Yeah, stars to everyone. The characters in this are delightful, including the ones that I hate. They're delightfully hateable. And that was really stressful. And I also feel a bit proud that the Harlody actress is clearly the person who's getting things done on this military mission behind Nazi lines. But no, stars to everyone for excellent character work. Alan, seamless GMing in all ways, between having maps prepared and just you didn't miss a beat ever, which kept the tension high and was interesting. And yeah, I am looking forward to the next one. I'm sad that Garrett won't be joining us, but
well, Adriana will be back for the climactic final session.
Indeed.
No, thanks for those comments, those stars. Heading back, Garrett, any stars you want to hand about?
Yeah, I usually try to avoid giving out feedback directly after a session, but I can say that
Garrett, don't feel you have to.
No, but this is
after.
But this was really well prepared. I this kind of mission briefing and the all the tabs and the information here, cards and so on. That was a great pleasure to be in. And yeah, I also felt the tension, and I liked that a lot. Also, I really like what you do with the stress, because I'm very critical of the way what Trophy is doing with Cthulhu Dark, and this works for me fictionally better, I would say. The way it's implemented.
I noticed your comments on the Slack, and I've got some similar concerns, I think, about Trophy being an inevitable downward slide, but it is what it is, as is Cthulhu Dark. Paul, any stars?
Yeah, across the board, really good from everybody, and Dan, be put on the spot right at the end with a stress increasing thing, and me getting the double stress reduction, played really well. Sort of, we're in the last few minutes, and you really hit that home. How your character's changing. I really like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, this could be the making of Reggie. And I'd reinforce that. I thought you all dropped into character really swiftly. There was very little time, time to get you hit the ground running is the phrase I'm looking for. And yeah, I think Reggie will be an interesting character on a journey, I think. So yeah, I quickly picked that out. And yeah, Pearl, I thought Eglantine came across as competent and, get things done. Wilbur, if in doubt, get off the pot or shit. And if necessary, hit a Nazi in the head with a Sten gun. What's not to like? And Gerrit, yeah, I thought Adriana is you're playing her with great nuance, actually, and it's really nice to see that you're not going for the easies. I put you on the spot about whether you're going to hit that Nazi guard, and I thought the reaction was spot on. That was absolutely in character, given the conversation we'd had. So brilliant. Can I go the other way? And are there specific wishes for next time? I know you're not here, Gerrit, but again, wishes would be welcome. So let me start, Paul.
I would say the first session was a bit quicker, speed-wise. Yeah, I'm not saying it was bad, but the first one was a bit quicker.
Yeah, I think that was fair. I think I want to say that was deliberate. That felt like a one-off kind of pilot. And now that we have the cast for the rest of the series together, I think that we can have a slightly slower rise. But yeah, no, I take your point. I will try to give you something to use a Bren gun on next time. I promise. Moving along, Gerrit, any wishes?
To be here next week.
Well, do waitlist, because I have to say this series has been through an almost complete change of cast.
It was.
Since
I was on waitlist position 3. I didn't expect to be in, actually. I just signed up because I thought it's cool, but I didn't have time to play and had to free the time to play because suddenly I was in. And I wish I could read some German for you because it's my native language, and I think I could do it in the right manner, having a proper German Nazi voice at the table.
Well, I might send you a couple of things, and you can do some sound tapes maybe if I can get myself that organised. On the organisation, I don't take all credit for this. I'm using this adventure from Modiphius to scaffold. So I didn't draw those maps. Sarah Newton got Modiphius to draw them for her. Pearl, any wishes?
I quite liked the pacing, so that's just a difference of style, perhaps. I wasn't here for the first session, so I don't know how much faster. But my wish for next time is to figure out a way for me to have access to the documents if Adriana has taken them and Marcel somewhere else, because really for me to do my job or anything particularly useful, I really need the documents. So
well, I can reassure you about that now. What we will find is that Adriana will return to Dunkirk. She'll find Arthur Blake sitting on the dock waiting for a ride to Newport, and Arthur will arrive next time with the documents.
Okay.
Yeah? Does that seem fair?
Lovely. Yeah, I was just trying to figure it out. So, but yeah. And then otherwise, obviously, to have Gerrit around. But till the finale then.
Okay, and finally, Dan, any wishes for your, I don't know, will it be your second Gauntlet game?
It might very well be. I think that I echo the fact that there was a great sense of atmosphere, but when I think about how much we actually got done, it feels like that maybe if things were a little slow paced for the purpose of tension. So maybe that's intentional. I don't know, but that was something I noticed.
No, fine. I think that now we're on a path from here to the finale. Because yes, the first one was very much about blowing up German tanks and stuff. So that was a bit different. Okay, folks, I thank you for that. I'm about to end the broadcast. So wave goodbye to the internet.